Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the ACUCA Management Conference. I pray that we are all doing fine and safe amidst the threat brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. This morning session is the last of the 2-day conference. Towards the end, we shall have the closing ceremony. Please be reminded that our ACUCA Fellowship will be next week, December 9 at 2 o'clock in the morning, in the afternoon. And all of you are requested to join in the fellowship and experience being with each other as members of the strong ACUCA family. Let me give a quick recap of what has been transpired yesterday. We listened to Dr. Betty McCann delivered her keynote and the responses from a set of reactors who were heads of the respective institutions. There were also joiners to the discussion, which made the session even more insightful and engaging. Dr. McCann shared the key characteristics of preferred futures as Christian institutions of higher learning based on the July 2021 joint consultation of ACUCA with the United Board Network. She shared that the conference theme, which is journeying towards preferred futures at Christian higher education institutions, is a call for us to navigate through paths leading to preferred futures. The paths taken by each member institutions may be unique and different, but collectively, This journey should lead us to a common destination, that is, providing our students with the highest quality Christian education. It is a call to undertake innovative learning strategies, collaborative research undertakings, and creative teaching pedagogies. It is a call to strengthen ties and partnership through shared resources and expertise, among others. For the heart of Christian higher education is our passion as academic leaders and educators to nurture our students that imbibe Christian values, to mold our students to excel in their respective fields, to train them to become engaged members of society, and to become caring agents of our environment. One response from the audience expressed appreciation of what she had just witnessed and experienced. However, another challenged all of us that the key characteristics and viable strategies must be complemented with actions. This morning, we shall witness the sharing of 8 presenters who have complemented their strategies toward their preferred futures through actions, through good practices, which every one of us can learn from. I hope that through this venue that the ACUCA Secretariat has prepared through the leadership of Dr. McCann will increase collaborations and tie-ups between and among member institutions. Let me now introduce our host and moderator for this morning's session on the sharing of good practices of our member institutions. He is Professor Glenn Chatelier. Professor Glenn is the director of the International Affairs of Assumption University of Thailand. He has been associated with ACUCA since 1992 in various capacities, and to date, he is a member of the ACUCA board as designate representing Thailand. May I now give the floor to Director Glenn Chatelier.
Thank you, Dr. Tehero. It's a pleasure for me to greet you on behalf of my rector and the Assumption University community in Thailand. It's indeed an honor for me to assist on this journey of the preferred futures for ACUCA at a very meaningful time of the year. It's the season of Advent, and as we pilgrimage together, I do hope that we will be able to gain lessons. And what better way to do that right now is to experience the good practices we can take good lessons from. We have divided the first session this morning into three presentations, and then those will be spread over 3 sessions each. So for the first session, we would have 3 presentations, and following that, consequently, we will have 3 other presentations, and thus and so forth. Let me briefly introduce our first 3 presenters this morning. Dr. Cole Kanareska is an assistant professor from Chung Yun Christian University. He obtained his BA degree from Yale University's Master of Arts and PhD degrees from the University of Notre Dame, from where I myself graduated those many summers ago. He is an assistant professor in the Graduate School of Religion and the chaplain responsible for Foreign Students Fellowship at Chung Yun Christian University in Taiwan. The second presenter takes us to Japan in the form and shape of Dr. Keito Otani Aiko, the president of Osaka Jogakuen University in, of course, Japan. She obtained her MA and Doctor of Education degrees at Harvard University. She became an Apple Distinguished Educator in 2011 and uses her ICT skills in her teaching. She will share her university's experience during the time of the COVID pandemic and on the topic of the daily chapel service at Osaka Jogakuin University. The third presenter this morning takes us back to India, actually the city from where I currently hail when I go back home. And she is nonetheless a very distinguished principal of Lady Doak College, Dr. Christiana Singh. She's a strong proponent of the use of teaching and learning with technology within higher education. Dr. Christiana Singh completed her doctoral studies in economics at the Madurai Kamaraj University with specialization in gender economics. And she will share with us her story on the empowerment of women for a gender-just future. Friends, I invite you now on this meaningful pilgrimage to listen to our three presenters and to learn their stories of challenges and success at their respective institutions.
Hello everyone, I am Cole Karnaseka and I am an assistant professor and chaplain at Zhongyuan Christian University here in Taiwan. Today I want to share a little bit about the concept of turning principles into practices, specifically looking at how our university has tried to take certain elements of our mission statement and to turn those into tangible things that influence and affect the lives of our students here on campus. To start with, though, I want to give just a little bit of background about our university and kind of where we're coming from. The university was established for two purposes. One was to encourage and increase the training of Christian academics here in Taiwan, and specifically to help develop more students who were better trained in STEM fields, with a heavy emphasis on engineering and things like chemistry. The two I want to focus on a little bit here are our commitment to holistic education, what we call here 全人教育, which again is a very kind of widely known concept, one that what many of you will probably be familiar with. And the other is the emphasis on, as part of our holistic education, the emphasis on the spiritual, natural, humanity, and the self, that each part of these is understanding and being able to engage with each part of these is an important part of what it means to have a fully developed kind of human life and experience. Now, the ways that we have tried to translate these into actual practices, into actual policies, in talking about that, I want to focus on two things in particular. The first has more to do with this idea of spiritual care and how we try to teach, train, and inspire students to take seriously their own spiritual lives and well-being. And the second part has more of a focus on mental health in our Christian Counseling Center. Each student who comes through CYCU will take both of these courses before they graduate. Obviously, they have quite different. They focus on quite different things, with the philosophy of religion being a mixture of kind of an exposure to a wide array of different religions, Christianity obviously being one of them, but also teaching and encouraging students to take seriously their own spiritual lives and trying to understand those spiritual lives better as part of a deeper search for meaning and purpose in the world. The philosophy of life is rather similar in that the focus is not so much on kind of a deep exploration of philosophy itself. You know, we're not spending the bulk of the time discussing the differences between Stoicism and hedonism, but more giving students time and space to actually develop more of a sense of what their own philosophy of life should be, what their values are, and how they can live those values out in the real world. Now, each semester we offer around 25 sections of each of these courses. The numbers will change a little bit depending on teacher availability and student numbers, but in total we have about 3,000 students who will take these two courses every single semester. And again, as I mentioned, the primary purpose here is not so much to teach students what to believe, but more to kind of help students to explore their own beliefs and to start to develop a sense of purpose. Now, obviously, there are some challenges to teaching courses like this because we are trying to essentially offer spiritual guidance in a very religiously diverse context. Zhongyuan University itself has around, typically around 7 to 10% of its student population are Christian students, and we're in a country where Christians only take up maybe 3 to 5% of the population. So most of the students that come through these classes have a very diverse array of religious backgrounds and religious experiences. So rather than a course on Christianity, it's a course that really needs to engage with students where they are in their beliefs and in their development in their lives. This second policy that I want to look at has more to do with the issue of mental health, which has become an increasingly important issue, not only at our university, but at universities throughout Taiwan. And I think it would be safe to say throughout the world. Kind of the two important parts to look at here are categories of loss of emotional control and thoughts of suicide. And you can see year on year developing up until more recent years, the numbers of students who report both of these problems has exploded. In response to this, our university decided that while having a counseling center already, wanting to address the fact that for many students, they very often also have a spiritual side to their own lives. So we wanted to be able to meet students where they were, hence the beginning of our Christian counseling services. But the fundamental concept behind this is that while professional psychology is extremely important, and we don't offer offer Christian counseling in lieu of or to replace that, but as a supplement to this, for Christian students in particular, and students with any kind of religious life in general, there's going to be more there. And for our Christian students, the professional psychology needs to be accompanied by an acknowledgement of the Spirit's presence and a reliance on scriptural truth. All of these things are part of the overall Christian counseling system that we have begun to develop over the last few years. And as I mentioned, outside of the one-on-one meetings that our students are able to have with the Christian counselors, we've also developed a number of different support groups that meet every semester for about 1 to 2 hours each week. And these bring in a number of different students to not only help share and work through many of the problems that they're facing, but to provide them with a number of other students with whom they can meet and work through these things together, providing that community, all with the oversight of a counselor who is working with them through this. And as you can see, even with the limitations that COVID provided, the numbers of students participating in these groups has continued to grow. In addition to the counseling and the support groups, another way that we have tried to address this is realizing that in each student's life, not only do they have their own spiritual interests and concerns, their own spiritual needs, but there are many people who are involved with their lives who will need to know how to best help them through the struggles that they might face. This includes things like the teachers in the philosophy of life and philosophy of religion courses, staff and ministers from our local churches whose students many of whom go to our schools. This also has involved kind of general staff and faculty trainings on campus as well, and providing a number of different online lectures for anyone in our communities who are interested in learning more about how to help address these students' needs. Our university maintains a rather developed advisor system where every student works with advisors and often develop rather close relationships with their philosophy of life and philosophy of religion teachers. So this has been an important way that we have also been able to meet the needs of our students. And just to conclude, again, the idea here is that many of the principles on which our universities are founded are great things, or wonderful things that can mean quite a lot to the students with whom we work. And the key is finding ways to take those abstract concepts and turn them into very, very practical policies that will affect the lives of each of our students. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a great day.
女学院 was completely wiped out by US bombs at the end of the war in 1945. In the process of reconstruction, this chapel was built first. Since its foundation in 1884, Osaka 女学院 has never missed a daily chapel service. The chapel was also open to the local community to show movies and hold concerts in a post-war world when there was no entertainment. The chapel was designed by William Boris and was recognized as a registered tangible cultural property by the Agency for Cultural Affairs in 2017. Osaka Jogakuin is a mission school that has been emphasizing daily worship for 137 years.
Warm greetings from Lady Doak College. I am Christiana Singh, Principal and Secretary of Lady Doak College, an institution founded in 1948 by the missionary Miss Katie Wilcox, who had a vision to transform the lives of young women with higher education. It is the first institution of higher education for women in the city of Madurai, India. Lady Doak College aims to liberate, transform, and empower young women through imparting holistic higher education. Of the 5,476 students studying in Lady Doak College, 3,090 students are from economically backward families, and nearly 10% of our students are first generation learners. The context of our student community sharpens our focus on student centered teaching and learning processes. We integrate critical inquiry and problem solving skills through experiential learning, cross-cultural learning, international campus experiences, and self-expression to discover herself, her environment, and her potential. Some of our best practices are interventions for gender justice, promoting gender equity, democracy, and peace. Most women in India lack autonomy related to all important decisions in their life. We, at Lady Doak College focus on creating a gender-just society, partnering with like-minded organizations and stakeholders to enhance women's autonomy and facilitate an equitable balance of power and resources between women and men. Sensitizing the women in our care and to help them understand that they matter and their feelings matter is a challenge. Gender just education and partnerships is our flagship interventional program. The Center for Women's Studies at Lady Doak College integrates into academic courses our vision to empower women. Every undergraduate and postgraduate student in Lady Doak College undergoes a mandated foundation course on women's studies. The unique nature of the academic programs is the training and mentorship of faculty members from all disciplines at periodic intervals to facilitate these young minds. This paves the way for them to be catalysts in enabling other teaching and learning programs to build into them the gender perspective. Students and faculty who undertake the cross-cultural exchange programs offered by the International Studies Center are not only able to make comparisons of gender discriminatory practices across cultures and identify commonalities, they bring back to our own campus best practices in establishing a gender-just community from their encounters in international campuses and communities. The Life Frontier Engagement Service Learning Program engages students to find solutions to gender discrimination, and they have identified critical areas of intervention such as low consumption of energy, inadequate health, low levels of education, and insufficient economic power of women. The legal supports program ensures that harassment complaints by our community of students and staff are addressed through the legal channels of city police and the legal services authorities. While doing so, the Center for Women's Studies partners with the counseling unit of the college so that survivors are healed and have the emotional strength to address their issues. Our efforts to sensitize men in our campus and other educational institutions in our city and our state will help put into practice our vision of gender equity. Through promoting evidence-based research on gender equity to shape public opinion, we envision a future where women and people of other genders are treated fairly. We believe that this empowerment will translate into an increased participation of women in our country's workforce and result in more autonomy for women in private and public spheres. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the three presenters for their great sharing this morning. We now will have what we call the open floor for questions and discussions. But let me just say that we have a set of participants to serve as reactors, either in comment or questions for these three presentations. Let me recognize them first, then others may raise hand to join the discussion. First off, for the presentation of Dr. Cole Karnaneska on turning principles into practices, holistic learning and Christian counseling, we have Father Roger Vanzila Munsi, the assistant to the president of Nanzan University. Dr. Hope Anton, the director for faculty development at the United Board. Dr. Juliana Agono, the vice president for academic affairs at Universitas Kristen Petra. Dr. Father Viju Devavsi, the CMI director and dean of Christ University. And Reverend Bella Foyle de Rosas, the Minister for Students and Campus Chaplaincy at Silliman University. And we also have Judge Benjamin D. Tergano, the President of the Wesleyan University in the Philippines. For the daily chapel service at Osaka Jogakuin, our reactors are Reverend Bella Foyle de Rosas of Silliman University, Dr. Surchadanti Ferarsari, the Vice Rector for Academic Affairs at Atmajaya, Yogyakarta, Reverend Father Johannes Salu, the Campus Ministry Coordinator of the Vidya Mandira Catholic University, and Dr. Veda Sitepu, the Vice Rector for Human Resource and Cooperation of the Universitas Kristen Indonesia. For Dr. Christiana Singh's presentation on empowerment for women and a gender-just future, we have Reverend Bella Foyle de Rosas of Silliman University and Professor Jane Annette Bellarmino, the Vice President for Development at Silliman University. Now, if I fail to recognize some reactors, please feel free to raise your hand, and Dr. Tejero will help recognize them so that we can then, get into the discussion. The participants, by the way, can also raise your hand for questions. Now, what I will do is to take the first reaction from Dr. Roger, Father Roger Vanzila. Please, Father Roger, the screen is yours. Our reactors are encouraged to speak just for a minute or two to give chance to others to participate. Thank you. Okay, if that's the case, then could I move to Dr. Hope Anton, the Director for Faculty Development at United Board. Dr. Hope, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. But
Dr.
I think Father Roger was muted. That's why we couldn't hear him. I think he was trying to speak, actually.
Okay.
Shall I react now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Roger Musi Vanzila from Nanzan University. I was very much struck by the presentation of Dr. Karneseka, especially when he tried to bring the spiritual, the natural and humanity and the self together into a reflexive analysis. I agree with his idea of promoting a holistic education for students by adding to the program some aspect of spiritual care and mental care. I think that the truth that this approach, the university can create settings or spaces where students can find help and healing for their lives and relationships within the years of studies at university. And compared to Nanzan, I think that at Nanzan we don't have exactly the same format of courses, but the program of our Department of Psychology tries to cover some of those practical aspects and skills. And beyond that, Nanzan University, through its Center of Health, provides students with a safe, compassionate, and confidential setting to get professional care. Whenever it is necessary, we work with the student to understand their concerns and create, if possible, a course of action that will bring hope, healing, and change in their lives. And another aspect of the presentation is the way the university, Chung Young Christian University, try to emphasize two courses, one on a philosophy of life, the other one on a philosophy of religion. I find it very interesting because we also at Nanzan University, we have similar requirement for our students within the 4 years. Instead of having 2 courses, we have 3 of them. The first year students, they are supposed to take what we call studies in religion. It's a kind of a comparative study of religion. I mean, Buddhism, Shinto, Christianity, non-religious movements, and then ethnic religions. And the second year, from second year to between second year and 4th year, they have to take 2 more courses, one on the introduction to Christianity, the other one on human dignity and ethnic issues. So these are 3 compulsory courses for graduation. So why do I have interest in this presentation? Because it brings us to the issue that we have to ensure an integral formation of our students, starting with the heart of our students, the heart and minds of our students as human beings. Because as we see it also from Nanzan perspective, human being is composed of both body and minds, as we know, but this is a composition which translates into 2 parts, unselfishness and selfishness. The unselfishness is the basic of conflict. So we understand that the conflict starts with the mind of the person. And then the other side is unselfishness, which is the basic for harmony. So we try to train our students so that they can come to a kind of awareness of who they are and what is around them. I mean, the social world. So, and then we try to also to organize seminars and workshops to reinforce some input when we also bring together our students and some outsiders, people from different backgrounds, to interact together. So in many ways, I think that we are close to the approach of the Chung Young Christian University, and Dr. Karneseka's insights try to inspire us in the way that this the dynamic interplay of the spiritual, the natural, humanity, and the self is very important because it can improve our knowledge. And we find that we find some orientations for our future setup here in university. But I have 2 questions for clarifications. The first one, I want to know whether the Chung Young University has a kind of active learning that helps students to articulate or discuss the input they get from the 2 main, the 2 compulsory courses, philosophy of life and philosophy of religion. And the second question is that Dr. Karneseka mentioned that they deal with the loss of emotional control and thought of suicide. So this sounds a very critical area, and I wonder whether they do have in person or online or phone sessions available to organize some conversation with those who are in trouble of suicide, whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Roger. Now, could I immediately go to Dr. Hope Anton, please?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for this opportunity to be a reactor to Dr. Cole's very fine presentation. It is heartening to note that CYCU, a Christian college focusing on the STEM subjects, has made much effort to turn its principle of holistic education into practice. Dr. Cole's presentation focused on spiritual care and mental health as two areas where holistic education has been actualized. Indeed, enabling students to take seriously their own spiritual lives and well-being, explore their beliefs and sense of purpose, develop their own philosophy and values in life are a natural fit for the Department of Philosophy and Religion. During this COVID-19 pandemic, however, a number of institutions have realized the need for interdisciplinary collaboration among different departments or disciplines. These institutions have realized that the pandemic is not only for the scientists and medical personnel to address. The rising levels of anxiety and depression among young and old people alike are becoming a serious issue too, aside from the continuing mutation of the virus. So my question for Dr. Cole is this: are there efforts at CYCU to also turn the principle of holistic education through interdisciplinary approaches of tackling social problems? For example, are there efforts by the departments of religion, philosophy, psychology, medical science, even engineering to work together to address the problems brought about by the pandemic, like anxiety, depression, suicidal tendencies among people? In other words, how is CYCU enabling the sciences and humanities to work together with a holistic approach to solving the problems facing the society? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hope. Now, can I go to Dr. Juliana Angono, please, the Vice President for Academic Affairs at Universitas Kristen Petra.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to react to Dr. Cole. Thank you for the insightful sharing. It's really grateful this morning that I can sense, that we all share about this Christ heart for our students. It's very interesting to learn from CYCU related to philosophy of life given to their students. Related to Petra Christian University, I'd like to share as well that we have similar subjects that is compulsory for freshers in the beginning of their semester. So we serve about 2,000 students at the first semester. They have to take a subject called Religion and Meaningful Life. And adding to that, together with that subject, we place the students in small groups. So the small groups, they can share between their peers, as well as we provided a tutor. The tutor is coming from their senior students, so they can share life together. And one important thing is they can share their beliefs as well without any debating. And then later on in that group for us, one semester, so they meet every week together with the subjects, and they explore their worldview as well. And they try to understand pluralism because they come from different background. Although majority of our students is 86%, they are Christian and Catholic, and 14% is other beliefs. And then they learn the principles of life, and they try to explore Christian worldview in terms of social relationship, and then the meaningful of success, wealth, as well as time. One thing that I would like to ask Dr. Cole, we find out that this during the pandemic, because the student is off campus at the moment, but the subject and the group is running and going with the discussion online, they're missing an experience of connectedness. and deep relationship as well with the faculty members who teach the subject. When they have this experience in classes, they can have, they can feel the gesture and the sense of the caring heart of the faculty members. So they can approach these faculty members and then they start to share their own struggle in life. So I would like to ask how CYCU actually responds to the situation of this, this missing experience of connectedness when they want to share and approach somebody. The students tend to be passive in class. They off the camera and then we don't know whether they focus in the classes. Discussions become very passive. So if you have experience in encouraging the engagement between the students and the faculty, so they sharing life experience and finding Christ during the classes, that will be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As we progress now, could I just remind respectfully our responders, it's a minute or two. Thank you. All right. Now I invite Dr. Father Viju Devasi to please respond.
Thank you, Glenn. Good morning to all. I feel privileged to respond to the presentation by Dr. Cole Karnaseka from CYCU. Well, I picked up from this presentation a few ideas for my life and life at school, especially the 2 points of spiritual care and mental health, and very specifically the course that the students attend on philosophy of life and philosophy of religion. Maybe philosophy of life is a course where we could, without much of controversy, train our students in India. Maybe philosophy of religion might be something, I feel may not be very, very good strategy in India because of various religions and the interpretations that can, go on. At Christ, we do have a similar holistic education program where we focus on personal, interpersonal, and societal skills. And all our undergraduate students attend 4 short-term courses with 4 credits, and postgraduate students 2 courses with 2 credits. So I'm happy that we are able to share this good practice, and I'm sure we, for Christ, the learning would be to pick up this course on philosophy of life, and more importance to mental health care, especially in the context of the pandemic that we all suffer from. I have just one question to Dr. Cole, maybe at the end, if possible, to answer. Well, is any way to assess the learning outcomes of the students? Do you have any specific assessment pattern that you use to assess the learning outcomes? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Viju. Now I would like to turn focus to Reverend Bella Hoyle de Rosas, please. I'm sorry for that. Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to respond to a very wonderful presentation of Sir Cole Karnaseka. But I have only one question, I think, which also concerns me. You mentioned about the spiritual counseling, although we recognize that it's also important to have professionals to do that. I'm just concerned if you are having some efforts to also train our spiritual counselor, because sometimes we have the tendency, whether are we helping the students or not, because spiritual counseling is a little bit different from the professional counseling or the counseling per se. There is a tendency where we sometimes miss some points of some important practices of counseling. I'm just concerned because I am a pastor, and sometimes there is a thin line of how do we do spiritual counseling, especially in this time of pandemic. Sometimes we can ask ourselves, are we helping or not? Just a concern of how do you do with the trainings if you do have a group for spiritual counseling. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now it's my privilege to invite Judge Benjamin Tergano from Wesleyan University, please.
Good morning. Let me congratulate Chung Yuan Christian University and for this Dr. Cole Carneseca for developing a model for holistic education and Christian counseling. Years before the pandemic, many higher education institutions worldwide have taken this shift towards becoming research universities. Many have calibrated or recalibrated their strategic plans to make instruction, research, and extension more responsive to the emergent demands of the digital world, to make learners better equipped to meet industry expectations and more ready to serve the needs of a fourth industrial revolution-driven society. I completely agree with Dr. Carneseca's underlying theme that somehow global competitiveness, technological advancement, and even social relevance must not be pursued at the expense of sacrificing or ignoring the student's sense of purpose and mental health and balance. Our experience during the pandemic, which led us to see the rise of students' mental issues, teach us that now more than ever is the time when we need to train resilient students and not just produce relevant researchers and scholars. We need to breed mentally and spiritually strong individuals and not just develop innovative programs. The title of the presentation alone is suggestive that this can be done, as Chung Yuan Christian University has experienced. To curb mental health problems, providing student support services are indispensable parts of a nurturing Christian university, a nurturing program of a Christian university. My question, and I hope I would like to phrase this into a suggestion. I hope that the presentation of Dr. Carneseca can motivate us to look further into the program and lead us to move towards a comprehensive perspective of holistic education in a Christian university. I believe it would be helpful if we can look into the possibility of designing a framework for holistic learning that can be reflected in what educators consider as the intended, the enacted, the hidden, and the achieved curriculum of Christian universities and colleges. Why? Because a framework shall enable us to define the philosophy, the learning principles, the content, even the assessment tools, which should be interdisciplinary and holistic, and eventually consider what holistic education in our experience of Wesleyan spirituality, can do to influence society and perhaps improve the quality of life. A framework shall also define and consider the teaching methodology, the view of the faculty on the course of philosophy of life and philosophy of religion, and also the learning environment. A framework can also look into the hidden curriculum of a university, the school culture, the behavioral patterns, and the impact of interaction on the development of the learner. The framework can also look into the ultimate product of the program, which is the graduate, the alumni, and their contribution to social development and nation building. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Judge. Dr. Cole, would you like to respond, let's say, to one or two questions of immediate interest, and then let's agree that you might be able to receive these questions from the recording and respond to them later on. Would that be acceptable to you, my friend?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Go ahead. Would you like to respond to a question or two now, or?
Yeah, I'll try to respond to a few of them in what I will call the order of declining confidence. So questions I am confident I can respond to clearly, and then we'll go from there. First one I wanted to respond to, just because I think this is one that especially needs to be clarified, is that with in terms of the gap between Christian counseling and regular counseling. So in Taiwan, there's not actually a really developed program of Christian counseling. So there's not much training for it. there's not as much of a kind of developed professional Christian counseling system. So our Christian counselors are actually professional counselors from the counseling center who have Christian backgrounds. So in that sense, it is all like added onto the functioning counseling center. And the counselor we have functioning as a Christian counselor will make a quick assessment, like, is this problem something that fits better in a Christian counseling context, or do we need to immediately refer them to the counseling center? So that is certainly a big priority, because yeah, exactly. We don't want to, there are certain things that need to be dealt with as kind of clinical counseling questions. And related to that, in terms of the services offered, one-on-one sessions are all in person, which meant that there was a little bit of a break during the pandemic. But during that period, most of our students were home with their families anyway. So they weren't even necessarily on campus. So they were out of reach to a certain extent. But the trainings for advisors, local church staff, for faculty and staff on campus, those were online, so those continued, as did the support groups. So the student support groups that were topic focused continued throughout the pandemic, even when students weren't directly on campus. Another good question about the assessing learning outcomes. I want to answer this one because we have Danwei, what is this? We have a department, not quite a department, but a administrative unit in our school that specifically does research on learning outcomes. So looking at kind of where our graduates go, the kind of courses they took while they were here, and what things best benefited them in their careers later on. And one of the actually surprising things we found is that our philosophy of life and philosophy of religion classes are actually fundamentally interdisciplinary, because we actually don't have a philosophy department. And half of our teachers of those two classes are not actually philosophy professors. The idea is to put them into a context, both those topics into a context where students have a chance to learn from people who have kind of a broad exposure to a number of different experiences in life. So those are pretty fundamentally interdisciplinary, and they're part of our what we call our general education center. And one of the things I'd actually just been reading recently with our director of that career research center, one of the things they found is that the students who take more general education courses during their time here show dramatically higher life outcomes in terms of their employment opportunities, their income levels, and their life satisfaction. So we've had an ongoing research project looking at exactly those outcomes, and that's been one of the principal findings, is that the more that students take these classes kind of outside their field, giving them a broader education, a broader sense of purpose, and kind of understanding of their place kind of in the world, it has had a rather noticeable impact on their later life outcomes. So that one is a pretty clear one as well. The others of these, I'm not sure I have as great answers to them, so I may table them for now and take a few more questions.
Thanks, Dr. Cole, a fellow Doma from Notre Dame. Okay, well done. Okay, now let's get to a focus on the daily chapel service at Osaka Jogakuin University. The reactors, let me call upon Reverend Bella Hoyle de Rosas of the Silliman University, and I encourage you just for a minute or two. Okay, thank you. The screen is yours. Go ahead. Can you switch on your microphone, please? Okay.
Again, thank you for the opportunity to respond to the inspiring presentation of Dr. Aiko Kato Otani. Thank you for sharing your stories, your experiences, and practices in your institution. I'm happy to know that you have just resumed your face-to-face classes this fall semester, and I'm hoping that Sillimans will also have the opportunity to do so. I am personally amazed and inspired about how you have sustained your nurturing ministry despite the challenges of times. 437 years is amazing and commendable, doing daily chapel. And I am just eager to know how could or what could be the impact of your daily chapel hour to the prayer life and the spiritual journey of your constituents, the students, the alumni, even the greater community, since you mentioned that you also opened your chapel hour with the community. And how could this practice also affect the spiritual journey of the people who joined the chapel hour? And another is, I'm also concerned, how do you mobilize the participation of the students in every chapel hour? I'm just amazed how you do that every day, since especially that you're also doing online services. So those are the things that I'm interesting to know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me now right away go to Dr. Susharjanti Felasari. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to respond to the presentations of Dr. Eiko Kato Utani, the president of Osaka Jokakuni University in Japan. I'm from Universitas Atmajaya, Yogyakarta in Indonesia. Through a beautiful, inspiring video, Osaka Jokakuni University sends message to all Christian higher education institutions, including to us, that we should continuously believe in God in carrying out the mission. He is present with us at any time and any condition, even in the difficult times, like this pandemic we are experiencing now. We must not lose faith and hope. The daily worship of the chapel service at Osaka Jokakuni University shows us how trust in God become the source of the university's strength to serve the society. The chapel service is never absent once, even in difficult times, such as post-Second World War and during the 19 COVID pandemic, when they carried out all activities on the campus online. The chapel of Osaka Jokakuni University carried out daily service for the community outside the campus. They send messages and photos to students, alumni, and everyone in the world, showing the concern of the Osaka Jokakuni University to the universal issues of humanity. It offers help for people under challenging conditions. It also shows that through education, all higher education institutions should give solutions to real problems faced by the societies and provide access to everyone without exception, so that everyone has better hopes for their lives in the future. The message sent by Osaka Jokakuni University is in line what we have done through our campus ministry at Universitas Atmajaya, Yogyakarta. That's why we want to ask, what is the most challenging things for Osaka Jokakuni University in doing the practices in the pandemics and for 100 years? We have been starting hybrid learning since mid of the semester, while hoping that conditions next year will improve. The hope never stops, but continues grew, especially in time of Advent in church tradition, a time of waiting, but not losing hope, but believing. We also hope that collaborations and partnership among Christian higher educations will be more vital by celebrating spirits and togetherness like today. We wish we all have hope, love, joy, and peace for the preferred future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I've just been reminded on this journey that time is of consequence. So let me encourage responders with only a minute or two. Thank you for your kindness. Dr. Father Johannes Salu, please, from Vidya Mandira Catholic University. A minute or two. Thank you. Father, the screen is yours. Go ahead.
Morning all. Thank you for your sharing, for your practices in your institutions. And thank you all for very important reference for all of us and other reactions and for your sharing and insights. From our side, related to what we are doing, I would like to share something about our present activities, especially during the pandemic. Only 200 students, Muslim. So, based on our vision and mission in the university, the campus ministry of Widya Mandira Catholic University envisions itself as an animator of persons and organizations involved in religious activities and social services. It also sees itself as a provider of venues towards the understanding and deepening of the spirituality of Saint Arnold Janssen, the patron of our institution, as well as that of the Christian values. We have yearly programs for liturgy and paraliturgy, values formation and staff development programs. We also have Advent and Lenten recollections for students, faculty, and non-teaching staff. We also join the National Bible Month celebration by organizing a university-wide activity that will deepen their understanding and love for the scripture. And every Fridays and on holidays, we have Holy Mass organized and attended by students, faculty, and non-teaching staff from different departments based on the task given by campus ministry. We go on pilgrimage and conduct other religious activities that will help strengthen their Christian faith. We go also on social services that will help develop their social concern and other-centered person. We celebrate the life of the community by promoting prophetic dialogue among students from other religions and culture. In a special way, we have done a recollection for student resilience in the midst of pandemic COVID-19 and post-tropic cyclone in April 2021, both for Muslims and Christians. We have our peer ministry. Our peer ministry is an organized group from different faculties who train and help us in animating persons and organizations in their respective faculties. They are our partners in realizing our different programs, and they are effective in coordinating among faculties and department and campus ministry. With YCS, we try to select students that imbibe Christian values, raise and develop students as a caring agent of the environment by see, judge, and act methods. In our impressed and humble way, we try to be a living testimony to the gospel during this COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic is not a hindrance for us to realize our programs. Though it may be limited, but we find ways that we can reach them, and mass media is a big help in continuing reaching and making our programs to its realizations. We go for online recollections, masses, rosaries, way of the cross, and other values formation via Zoom and YouTube. Related to the presentation of Dr. Cole, I would like to know about how do you do with a training, spiritual counseling and spiritual service with your student during the pandemic for those non-Christian students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Salu. And now I would like to go to Dr. Veda Sitipu, please.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. First, let me share with you what I feel when I listen to this presentation. I got goosebumps when the choir started the hymn. We are actually about to celebrate the second Christmas at home since the COVID-19 pandemic forced us to limit our mobility. The pandemic has indeed forced us to also revisit our service, how to proceed with our mission despite the hardship we are dealing with. The experience of the Osaka Jogakuin University has shown us that holding on to tradition and value should never falter, no matter what, and how they are actually tested through times and hardship. As I watched the video, I praised our Lord for the work of the missionaries in Japan, which started in 16th century, and that now Christianity is embraced by the community in Japan. Although not much, Christian believers now reaches 1% of the total population. In her presentation, Dr. Aiko Kato Otani described that the Hale Chapel of the university has become an important part of the community. In its long existence and service, the chapel has transformed itself according to the need of the people and its surrounding. For instance, after the war, the chapel offered itself to the community as the place to watch movies and enjoy the concert. I'm pretty sure that the visitors are not all Christian believers. Correct me if I'm wrong. And now at the time of COVID-19 pandemics, the chapel transformed itself again and still offer service online at 10:40 every day, never falter for 137 years. So the four keywords that I would like to draw from her presentation is commitment, resilience, perseverance, and consistency. The COVID pandemic has forced us to revisit our mission, not only in education, but also in instilling Christian values to our students, because they are our future and because they are the world's future. Christians in Indonesia face more or less similar situation as what it is faced by Osaka Jogakuin University. We are the minority who struggle to become the light and the salt of this country. For UKI, our institution, and other institutions which carries Christianity in its service, we must stand to our belief, not by preaching, but by example. For education services, we do not stop our service thanks to technology, but we have other duties to carry to help the community, to the surrounding community at least. At our institution, we grow with the surrounding community, and whether we like it or not, their well-being should also be put into consideration. In the beginning of the pandemics, when disposable face masks and hand sanitizers were difficult to find, faculty members joined forces to produce hand sanitizer and cloth face masks for the people who live around UKI campuses. I'm sure that other Christian campuses do the same thing. We have transformed ourselves or our campuses to become the community center. I would like to propose that we share this good practice and experience in ACUCA website for all members to strengthen each other and at the end influence our society. I congratulate Osaka Jogakuin University for its constant service and endeavor for the glory of our God. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Veda Sitepu. I would like to request Dr. Dr. Kato Otani, please, if you'd like to just respond for a moment, a minute, and maybe take the other questions and respond to them later on. Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you all. And going to a ACUCA meeting every year is my pleasure. But, last year I was unable to go. I mean, people were unable to join. But anyway, thanks for organizing the conference this year online. And it's good to see familiar people online. And I would like to respond to some of the questions you raised. For example, the effect of chapel service on students. And let me describe my example. Osaka Jogakuin has a high school. So I started my life at Osaka Jogakuin when I was 15. And I spent 3 years attending a daily chapel service. And a high school, it's a requirement. And college, it's not required. But I attended for 2 years. And then I became a Christian at the age of 21. And this is an example of Christian education affected my life. And since then, my family is not a Christian. And I have to tell you, the percentage of Christians in Japan is less than 1%. But some of the graduates became Christian because of the Christian education we offered to students. So that's the effect. And a challenging challenges we are faced with is not every faculty member is a Christian. Yeah? But we ask them to give a chapel talk, and they do a good job. And then when they retire, some of the non-Christian faculty members said the most challenging task was a chapel talk, what to say in the chapel. But they talk to Christian faculty members, Christian staff members, and they somehow find out what to talk. And I think that most important thing and most challenging things is how we share the value of Christianity in our school. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We now must take responses to Dr. Christiana Singh's presentation on empowerment of women for a gender and just future. We have Reverend Bella Foiler de Rosa of Silliman University. Can you please take the screen and 2 minutes, not more than that. Thank you.
Thank you again. I'm privileged to say something about the presentation. The presentation of Dr. Singh is quite near to my heart because it's about women. And I love how she mentioned about how they empower the women, especially considering the context in India. I'm just quite interesting. Is there any specific or practical activities that you would like to share with us, especially in nurturing our women, especially in terms of leadership? Here in Philippines, our national election is coming. So I would like to know if, is there any activities or practices in your university where we can also find ways how to introduce women empowerment and how do we perceive women in leadership? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now would like to turn focus to Professor Jane Annette Bellarimino, the Vice President for Development at Silliman University. Please, Professor.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yes. Good morning, Dr. Singh. I share with you your hope of a gender-just future in every corner of the Philippines. And I find your presentation inspirational. But as I was thinking on how it can be applied to the Philippine setting, I would like to ask if I have 2 questions. What are your biggest struggles in having a gender-just future in your place? And the second is, how do you change the generations to your students while they talk about and are listen to principles on how to achieve a gender-just future? They go home to their families who may or may not share the same aspirations. So those are my two questions, Dr. Singh. Thank you for your very inspiring message.
Thank you, Professor Bellarmino. Now, Dr. Singh, the screen is yours for a minute or two if you'd like to pick up on any question. We can't, please turn on your microphone. Thank you.
Thank you, friends from Silliman University, Reverend Bella and Jane, Dr. Jane. Ours is since we are an all-women university, college, we see our main problem is making our girls realize that they have to be change makers. It's so easy to just go with the flow and not upset the cart. And so what we do is one of our best practices is that we have this kind of a debating forum where we encourage our students to talk about the policies that are enforced by our government. And for example, even our government having this, providing the government outlet for liquor because men are addicted to it. I mean, it's not just men being addicted to it, but the economic impact because it brings revenue to the government. So we allow our girls to debate on whether that is an absolute necessity right now. Could the government be doing something else to bring about a change that will be a betterment for the future? It's very interesting to see how the girls think. They say it's good if the government provides a liquor because it's cheaper and it's less stressful for the households. And then you have someone else saying, why instead of providing liquor, could they not be providing something else that would, make for a better society? So you have these open forums where people talk and debate about what is good for them. And when it comes from the students themselves, we believe that when they take their rightful place in society and they're almost ready for that, they would be change makers. They'd be empowered to think differently because they've had all these experiences. So those are some of our practices. One very strong practice that has come out right now is we've been trying to get our girls to prepare short documentaries, media, because, like everything is online. So try and capture what's happening around you with your own, even mobile phone camera. Do little documentaries, look at it, and try and analyze what's happening in the world around you. And if you want a change, what is the change that you'd like? Are you entitled for a change? Do you want something different? Do you think the world could be a better place when that difference happens? Once again, we find that the fascination of taking to technology, knowing that you can create something that is study material for someone else, that has also worked wonders in our midst. And the Women's Studies Center has been very active in producing these little documentaries. The point behind it is sometimes, when we create these documentaries and you want people to act, it's not very easy to get actors. But when you have people who are sensitized to capture events that are happening as it happens, then that becomes a very legitimate documentary for study. There are many interesting activities, and we find that the best thing that ever happens is even after a student leaves Lady Doe College, when she has a problem, she knows very well that Lady Doe College offers this legal aid support from the district administration. She also knows that there is a counseling center that offers spiritual succor and also emotional support in times of need. So this is how we have been able to keep our girls active and engaged. Sometimes the mindset is what needs a big change, and we are battling a culture that is deep set and deep rooted. We love our traditions, but we want a gender just future. And that we tell our students is in their hands. They are the future.
Thank you, Dr. Christiana Singh. Just to reflect that Lady Doak College is perhaps one of the finer institutions in South India, and they have a great tradition of leadership. And we witnessed that in the form and shape of Dr. Christiana Singh. Keep up your good work. At this point of time, okay, we have really lost time, and what I would say is that I would immediately move to the next session of presentations, and we have Dr. Albert Chow, the Vice President for Teaching and Learning at the Hong Kong Baptist University, and he will present to us on new direction in undergraduate education in the digital era, the best student experience, and we should look forward to that from Hong Kong Baptist University. We also have Professor Iwakiri Soichiro, the president of the International Christian University in Japan, who will talk to us about environmental responsibility and stewardship. Let me just profile Professor Iwakiri's credentials. He obtained his master's degree in literature from the University of Tokyo Graduate School and a doctorate from the University Paris 7. His specialty is modern and contemporary French poetry and drama, and he has translated more than 30 French classic and contemporary plays from Racine to Yasmina Reza, and he's also a poet like yours truly. He started teaching at ICU Japan as an assistant professor in 1996, and prior to becoming the president in 2020, he was assistant dean of the College of Liberal Arts and the director of the Admissions Center and the dean of the College of Liberal Arts. And the third presenter this morning for this session would be Dr. Phillips Nicholas Guna Vijaja, the head of the physics department from Parayahan University in Bandung, Indonesia. Dr. Phillips Nichols Guna Vijaja is the head of the physics department at Parayahan Catholic University in Bandung. He obtained his PhD in physics from the University of Warwick, the United Kingdom, and completed his postdoctoral studies in biomaterials at the Arrhenius Laboratory in the University of Stockholm, Sweden. Let me turn focus to our three presenters, and I ask you now to pay attention to them.
We could be the light that brightens up the darkest hours, shining like the stars above the tree. As we sing our favorite songs and dance the nights away, I wonder, do we really know what Christmas means?
In the darkness of the night, He will come to guide the way. Hope isn't lost, 'cause we will rise again.
With our faith and with our heart, I know that we will be okay. This Christmas, our wait won't be in vain.
Christmas is a helping hand to those in need, loving in a time when we are filled with fear. No presents could replace the joy we share.
Take time this Christmas,
Together we'll make it better. If we take time this Christmas,
with Jesus in our hearts, if we take
Wow, that was a meaningful interlude, I would say. Before we go on to more meaty elements of the presentations from Dr. Albert Chow, from Professor Iwakiri Soichiro, and Dr. Phillips Nichols Gunawijaja. Now, let me call upon Dr. Albert Chow, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, greetings from Albert Chow, Vice President, Teaching and Learning of the Hong Kong Baptist University. First of all, I would like to thank ACUCA for organizing this conference. Today, I would like to take this opportunity to share with you our new directions in undergraduate education in the digital era at HKBU. HKBU is a research-led liberal arts university with a Christian heritage. We were founded in 1956. At the moment, we have about 7,000 undergraduates and 4,500 postgraduates. We have around 2,000 teachers and 750 non-teaching colleagues. In 2018, we launched our 10-year strategic plan. There are 3 priorities: best student experience, research excellence, and capacity building. Under capacity building, we launched the Talent 100 scheme to recruit more than 100 new faculty members to our university from all over the world. Today, I will focus on best student experience. As the world is changing so fast, we constantly reflect and revise our programs. More recently, we had to submit a planning proposal to the Hong Kong government for the years 2022-2025. We ask ourselves, how should we prepare our students for the future? We know technology will have major disruptive changes: AI, big data, Internet of Things. But we know technology will not solve all the problems. On the contrary, it will bring unprecedented problems such as new ethical and legal concerns. Our students must have a good understanding of both technology and humanities. The future of work will be uncertain. Many existing jobs will disappear, and many new jobs are yet to emerge. How do we future ready our students? The emphasis of our education will be innovation and creativity, empathy, cultural awareness, problem solving, technology skills, and self-management skills. According to the World Economic Forum, self-management skills is quickly emerging as a very important future job skill. It includes active learning, resilience, stress tolerance, and flexibility. So our students' learning experiences will be authentic and contextualized in the real settings. Assessment will be based on both the learning process and outcomes. Students will learn how to learn. They provide and test solutions. They will also keep a portfolio of their learning. We will launch 4 undergraduate programs in 2022. 3 of them are transdisciplinary: innovation in health and social well-being, global entertainment business, arts and technology. Finally, the personalized pathway program is a rather special one. In all these new programs, students will integrate multiple disciplines. They will understand the issues and policies. They will apply cutting-edge technologies. They will develop an entrepreneurial and adventurous mindset. They will also create and test new solutions. The personalized pathway program is a future-focused one. It targets the students who own and plan to address a humankind need through means such as entrepreneurship, research, advocacy, invention, or performance. They can also choose a personalized education pathway to fulfill this goal. Their learning experience will mainly be deep immersion with knowledge-based hands-on experience. In this program, 60% of the credits will be dedicated to solution-based learning modules. Each box on the left side represents a problem. In the early years, the problems will be smaller, more well-defined, and there will be more faculty guidance. As the students proceed, the problems will be bigger, less well-defined, and students will be more independent with less faculty supervision. In year 3, students will solve the problems in laboratories or faculty niche research areas. All these are interdisciplinary. In the final year, students will negotiate with their faculty supervisor and community partner to identify a problem that fits their personal mission or aspiration. They will then work out and test solutions under the supervisor's guidance. On the right-hand side, 40% of the credits will be the liberal arts foundation and major. To make these programs work, we will put our students in joint projects with students from all over the world. There will be experiential learning, service learning, internships, etc. We hope to set up joint courses with our partners. We would like to do joint staff development activities and projects on the scholarship work of teaching and learning. So I have a standing partnership invitation to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. If you are interested, please send me an email. I look forward to working hand in hand with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shoichiro Iwakiri, President of International Christian University in Japan. Our campus has a Neolithic dwelling site of more than 4,000 years ago. It is a point of archaeological, natural, and cultural intersection. And it is in this environment that our College of Liberal Arts provides students with knowledge and competencies of arts and sciences. Today, I'd like to share with you our practice in the field of environmental studies and SDGs activities, respectively presented by Professor Fujinuma and Professor Nunoshiba.
Hi, my name is Ryo Fujinuma. I'm an academic advisor for an environmental studies major at the International Christian University. And today I'm going to talk about what is the aim for my environmental studies majors in our curriculum at the ICU. So EMB majors, for first year students, we have a general education course called environmental studies. We developed this course as a part of the sort of kickoff on a 4-year program to nurture their creativities and also critical thinking, which is related to the environmental issues, especially for their daily life. So the first year course of environmental studies, our aim is connection to their daily life and then also the diverse viewpoint to the environmental issues. Because we understand the environmental issues are very complicated, so we want to make sure they understand the wide view rather than a specialized topic. But their work is not finishing just taking that course. It's a 4 years of journey. So after that, they are taking an environmental science, management, and all the diverse coursework to create their own point of view about the environmental issues. Okay. Then, so because of that, and many students generates their own students group to working on outside of the classroom. Now, for example, they worked on the ICU honey project, the working on the honey, so ecology and biology, and also the productions as agricultural production. So they combine the whole issues as a part of the program. So we hope and we actually believe at the graduation time that our students can have a really good grip on critical thinking and also creativity on environmental issues, and they're working on a daily life.
Implementing the SDGs in ICU style is student-driven. I'm Tatsuno Noshiba, professor of biology and the head of our SDGs promotion office. I would like to explain how student involvement exemplified the ICU spirits. The personal water bottle refilling station installed in University Hall is a prime example. The stations are a direct result of voluntary proposal made by students who administered survey about the habits regarding a bottled drink and have a poster presentation in their environmental study class. The concerned students submitted a proposal to the administration that the university could help reduce unnecessary consumption of a disposal bottle by providing a refilling stations. And their plan was put into the action. Moreover, it's important to utilize the liberal arts foundation to cultivate the individuals to examine the issues from numerous perspectives. Any given issue will look quite different depending on where you are coming from. Whatever the outcome, it's critical that all involved parties communicate and reach an understanding. I believe that the lack of empathy toward others is at root for the great many of the problems building up in our modern era. Let's see ICU's new SDGs promotion office grow and contribute toward the global realization of the SDGs.
Animals and plants are living with us on our campus. They're here as an object of love as well as of research. Our college provides students with this rich environment that gives them a chance to have a real sense and consciousness of environmental issues. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope to see you in your future.
Welcome to Parahyangan Catholic University, where knowledge and experience are sought, and great ideas are highly valued. This is the place where traditions are nurtured and history is made. Located in the mountains of North Bandung, UNPAR strives for advancement and innovation in 16 fields of study, namely economics, management, accounting, law, public administration, business administration, international relations, civil engineering, architecture, philosophy, industrial engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineering in mechatronics, mathematics, physics, informatics. UNPAR provides an accommodative learning environment that creates outstanding graduates who are responsive to current opportunities and challenges. This is the campus where all dreams are inspired and passions are pursued. Through a continuous desire for excellence, achievements after achievements are made possible. UNPAR is a place where diversity is respected and community is built. Divinity, truth, and integrity have become the foundations of our academic culture. With various extracurricular and campus activities, UNPAR has been able to provide a comprehensive education while building the essential virtues of thriving the present and preparing for the future. Career Preparation Program is designed to prepare our students to enter the working world and make an impact in the society once they graduated from Parahyangan Catholic University. The program consists of 3 activities: career counseling, career workshop and seminar, and job fair. Career counseling. In this activity, students are given opportunities to do several tests to discover their potency and talent. This is followed by a discussion with a career counselor to find out about their interest and motivation in order to pursue their dream job. Career workshop and seminar. To prepare students to enter the workforce, we work together with local and multinational companies through career workshop and seminar. During this process, they are given training on how to write a curriculum vitae and application letter, handle work interview, do group discussions, understand job agreement, and be an UNPARian who will make an impact to the society. Job fair. Job Fair is an event where our graduates meet local and international potential employers. We hold this event twice a year and around 5,000 participants enjoy the events. We are glad to say that most of our graduates land on their first job within 3 months from their graduation dates. Our program is funded by the university and we have been doing this for several years. With decades of experience and solid foundations from generation to generation, UNPAR has been recognized at national, regional, and international levels. We proudly acknowledge our professors for their expertise and our staff for their dedication to service. We heartily embrace the trends in digital transformations by adapting to current and future needs and challenges in the context of education. UNPAR believes in developing local potential on the international level. Thus, internationalization is an essential part of our commitment to provide our students and staffs with the needed exposure. The commitment is supported by high-quality facilities and infrastructure throughout the campus. Our efforts toward the future are guided by the spirit of Bakuning Hyang Mrihguna Sancaya Bhakti, understood as based on the belief in God, the advancement of knowledge, and the devotion to the community. Compassion and humanity have become the center of our academic endeavors, which are ultimately dedicated to society. Welcome to Parahyangan Catholic University, the answer to the future. We begin here and now.
Well, I'm sure that the presentations that we just witnessed, picked up on that concept of empowerment of the spiritual into the material and into the intellectual. We have responders to all of the three presenters in this session. And before I get into anything else, I'd like to request Dr. Howell Ford, the Dean of the College of Arts, of Sciences and Education at Trinity University of Asia in the Philippines, and Dr. May Bridget Bernadelle Willowdorn, the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, to respond. But also, picking up on that in the response mode, to Professor Soichiro Iwakiri's presentation, we also will have Dr. Howell Ho, and then we also would have Uda Teda Ena, Dr. Uda Teda Ena, the Vice President for Collaboration and Alumni Affairs at Sanata Dharma University, Jesuit University, and today we mark St. Francis Xavier Day. And we also will have Dr. Jenny Chu, the Vice President of Finance from Silliman University. And for Dr. Phillips Nichols Gunadvijara from UNPAR, we will have Father Viju Devasi, the Director and Dean of Christ deemed to be University in New Delhi. So I now would request Dr. Howell Ford, please, from Trinity University of Asia, to, within a minute or two, to respond with a question or a comment.
Good morning, everybody. So the talk of Dr. Chow is very interesting, and it exemplifies, the digital era education and collaborative service learning programs of the Hong Kong Baptist University. And it provides an atmosphere and capability of having expertise in different disciplines, and provides an interesting solution to the future of education and workplace, and providing a best student experience with exposure to problems associated with new technology by future-proofing and developing future-ready students. Their system of managed problem-focused education and creating connections with relevant communities defines what service learning can be and how a program university can be futuristic. I was hoping to find out from Dr. Chow if he could share to us the major challenges in the management of transdisciplinary and personalized programs, especially in matching interests of faculty and students, and how his recent shift towards online mode of teaching internationally has facilitated his programs.
Thank you, Dr. Howell Ho, and we'll get to either the response to your question or to a kind of reciprocal response a little bit later on. But now, let me request Dr. May Birgit Bernadelle Villadorn from Silliman University, please.
Good morning, everyone. It is such an honor to be part of this special gathering. VP Chow, thank you for sharing to us where Hong Kong Baptist University is heading its new direction in terms of its undergraduate education in the digital era, particularly on best student experience. Hong Kong Baptist University is close to my heart as I have spent my 2 months fellowship in October, December of 2017 under the United Board Fellows Program. I also had a chance to meet VP Chow, and I hope he can still remember when I visited his office and gave him a short interview on the teaching learning approaches at HKBU. And what I like best among the many and good best practices at Hong Kong Baptist University is their TALES program, which stands for Teaching and Learning Experience Sharing, where colleagues and guests can share their teaching and learning experiences, of which I know is also one of the backbones of Hong Kong Baptist University's education. I am also very impressed how Hong Kong Baptist University have given emphasis in their whole person education approach as they prepare their students for the future. With the changing educational landscape and career demands in the future, VP Chow had showed us how HKBU was quick enough to respond and align its programs and courses to make sure that their students are better prepared and relevant to the future by identifying the top 3 priorities, namely excellence in research, best student experience, and capacity building. VP Chow has also outlined their approaches to address these challenges, and that is something that we can learn from or could serve as our takeaways from this sharing. And I hope that we can all learn from Hong Kong Baptist University to be keen enough to find solutions and preparations as we navigate this disruptive changes that hits among higher education institutions in Asia. I am certain that our own institutions have also laid down our solutions and approaches conforming to the ASEAN qualification framework among higher education institutions in the region, while at the same time minding the peculiarity of our educational system. For instance, here at Silliman University, embedded in our institutional 5-year roadmap or strategic plan is to strengthen our digital technology program across levels and among all constituents, and integrating the FIRE component of the university at the classroom and community level. FIRE stands for Faith, Instruction, Research, and Community Extension. We also aim to strengthen the human capital resource, particularly in the recruitment of highly qualified teaching personnel, the adoption of soft skills, knowledge, and proficiency in our teaching and learning pedagogies to meet the 21st century skills among our graduates, the institutionalizing policies for environment, safe spaces, women and gender, health and wellness, expanding and nurturing our partnerships and linkages, alumni and networks, and holistic approach to our programs with Silliman University's whole person education, and strengthening the quality assurance of our curriculum and programs. The details of these goals were very well articulated by our university president, Dr. Betty Cernol-McCann's talk yesterday. With all of these challenges, I hope we see them as valued opportunities where we could develop partnerships and future collaborations. Given all these disruptions and changes, perhaps we should ask ourselves, how ready are we for these changing landscapes? What is our preferred future as an institution? And in what way we can collaborate each other as we journey together towards achieving our common goal as Christian higher education institutions. Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you, Dr. Willowdorn. Professor Albert Chow, I now would welcome you to respond, if you will, to any of the questions that came up, or if you'd much rather defer to an online response, an email response or whatever. But the floor is yours, Dr. Albert Chow. Okay. Maybe what we will do is to pass along your responses and your questions to Dr. Chow to respond to a little bit later on. Okay. Now, let me turn to dear Professor Iwakiri's presentation, and I'm going to welcome Uda Teda Ena, from the Vice Rector for Collaboration and Alumni Affairs from Sanata Dharma University, to kindly respond or to ask a question within 2 minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. So I hope my voice is okay. Can you hear me all right?
Right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, especially Professor Glenn, for reminding me that today is the celebration of Saint Francis Xavier, because actually that is my baptism name. I'm Oda from Sanata Dharma University, Indonesia, and I would like to first, of course, thank and also congratulate Professor Soichiro Iwakiri and his team, Professor Fujinuma and also Professor Nunoshiba, for presenting such a wonderful good practices, and I believe that we also have similar initiatives on our campus. But what I want to emphasize from their presentation is that the most important, I think, is that they can, or the main point that I want to emphasize is the connectedness of their program. So Professor Iwakiri, for example, mentioned the past and also the present, and we are talking about the future today, you know, like the preferred future. So the connection between the past, the present, and the future, and the presentation was also a kind of diachronic connection and also synchronic connection. Professor Iwakiri mentioned about the site that has been there for hundreds of years, and then also now what they are doing on campus to prepare the future. And also synchronic connectedness, meaning that they can connect to the society through their programs, for example, the Honeybee Project. So I think those initiatives encourage a kind of systemic thinking for us, and also, of course, for their students, and maybe we can also you know, imitate that on our campus, so that we are connecting to the past and the future. For example, one of the initiatives is about protoplastic. When it was invented, I think plastic was a blessing. But now it becoming a problem because it's too much of the use of it, you know. So connecting the past, the present, and the future is very important for our students, so that it will raise awareness that what we do now might affect our future. And also, I think that is a kind of nurturing good habit for the students. And again, I think I want to emphasize that the initiatives, the sustainability initiative in the International Christian University in Japan has promoted critical thinking among the students, but also systemic thinking. I think that the last one, especially systemic thinking, is what is often missing. So when the new invention, we glorify the new invention, but probably in the future that will become a problems for the future generation. So I think the initiatives has been great, and I learned a lot from the initiatives. We have similar initiatives also on our campus in Indonesia. So I think that's my response. Thank you very much, and have a good morning, everyone.
Thank you, Professor Francis Xavier, you know, for that response and, of course, the reflection. Let me now request Dr. Howell Ho, please, from Trinity University of Asia.
Yes, good morning. Is my microphone okay now?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes. So the International Christian University in Japan, presided by Professor Iwakiri, is a source of inspiration for all, integrating the school environment, its advocacy and educational mission. It's amazing how the university integrated surrounding elements, allowing them to integrate the study of the Neolithic era, campus wildlife and flora, environmental matters, and sound economic management principles. The environmental studies model presented by Dr. Fujinuma is in the collaboration of environmentalists, biologists, chemists, anthropologists, and economists in their in general, as well as specialized courses, demonstrated a very unique curricular experience, unparalleled by those without integral assimilation of the university environs. These integrative studies include not only curricular courses, but extracurricular activities as well. And this is reflected by the outcomes presented by Dr. Nunoshiba on sustainable development goal promotion, where students get involved in making the campus management better, demonstrating deep appreciation and applied outcomes in education. And providing environmental responsibility and stewardship. I thank Professor Iwakiri for sharing such astounding and unique academic leadership. May we be enlightened by how they were able to sustain interest, innovation, as well as motivation of the students' involvement, and how the faculty were able to adapt to the ideas and initiatives of the students.
Thank you, Dr. Howell Ho, okay, from Trinity University. Now, let's go to Dr. Jenny Chiu, and I thank you for your patience in waiting your turn. Dr. Chiu is the Vice President for Finance at Silliman University. Would you like to take the screen, please?
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad that I'm one of the reactors to the presentation of Professor Iwakiri, President of ICU of Japan. I greatly appreciate your holistic approach on how to produce graduates who will have great sense of responsibility and stewardship for the environment. First, you educate them by providing knowledge about the various science subjects that would impact on the natural, social, and economic environments. Second, you have programs that translate the theories into practical conduct or implementation in order to attain the global realization of SDG 13, or the Sustainable Development Goals number 13, which is climate action. In the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, it identifies climate change as one of the greatest challenges of our time and worries about its adverse impacts that undermine the ability of all countries to achieve sustainable development. My question is, since SDG 13, or Sustainable Development Goals number 13, is about taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impact, what are your sustainable development strategies or programs that will support the national agenda of Japan to mitigate the impact of climate change? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Chiu. I now would like to turn the screen over to Professor Iwakiri, please, if you'd like to either pick up on a question or two or reciprocate a response. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Williams. I'm the Vice President here at ICU. Unfortunately, Professor Iwakiri has been called away, but I will try and respond on his behalf, if I may, if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead, please. A
Thank
minute
you.
or two. A minute. Or
Thank you. And thank you very much for this, for the honor of being allowed to attend this ACUCA conference. It's been a really important event. And I believe that the presentation that Professor Iwakiri gave you an idea of what we're trying to do on our campus towards SDG 13. And the final question we had now was, how are we supporting Japanese national policy towards climate change? And I think at the moment, as Professor Nuno Shiba mentioned, we have just established our SDG office, and we're trying to come up with our long-term strategy right now. But for a long time, we have had a separate campus about 100 miles away from campus, where we have an enormous solar panel farm, which is obviously trying to provide the energy that we need for our daily activities. And we're currently working on how we can integrate that more completely into the campus life here in Tokyo. As you saw from the presentation, we are very fortunate in having a large green campus. Geographically, we are in the middle of Tokyo metropolitan area, but in practice, we are quite a way to the west of the main urban core. And so we have this large campus where we're able to build on the natural life, the natural environment, in a way that the students and the faculty are able to take advantage. One of the questions we had just now was, how do we sustain student interest in all of this? And I think my answer is that the students are naturally interested. We have a lot of our foundation courses in the first year prepare the students for being interested in such global plus local issues, and the natural interest then spills out into activities such as the beekeeping activities, such as the other ones that were mentioned by my colleague, Professor Fujinuma. So I think there's a very considerable natural interest that stems from the very founding principles of ICU, which are built around peace building, building on our natural society, and seeking to build greater collaboration with our global partners. We're built on very much a US-Japan immediate post-war reconciliation mission, and that has led to so much of the activity that was emphasized in Professor Iwakiri's presentation. I hope that begins to answer some of the questions. And again, I thank you all very much for the dialogue that has been initiated.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mark. Now, I would like to turn focus to the presentation by Dr. Phillips Nicholas Gunavijaja for the Career Preparation Program, and Dr. Viju Devasi will be the responder. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Well, I didn't know that I had to respond to this presentation anyway. Great, thanks for the presentation by Dr. Phillips, especially on the career guidance that you focused on. Well, I am very much impressed with the multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary approach that you take at your school, and then preparing students not just for career, but at the same time, preparing them for career with the value system, especially the holistic training and the respect for diversity that you emphasize on. So thank you very much. I do not have any specific questions. Thank you very much for that nice presentation. The takeaway, the learning for me would be focusing on preparing students for just not career, but for entire life with values of diversity, respect, and love of truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Devasi. I realize that with our select responders and question raisers, we may have forgotten other members of the audience, and I'm going to encourage Dr. Wilma, to be on track to help identify. We now open the floor, let's say, to about the next 5 minutes. If any of our other attendees at the session this morning do have questions or responses, we have the luxury of the next 5 minutes. Okay, Dr.
Yes,
Wilma.
yes, Yes, Professor. So from the audience, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to raise your hand and turn on your camera as well as your audio so that we can recognize you. Is there any question from the audience or from the rest of the participants? Sister Anne Therese, do you have anything?
I do not at this time, thank you.
I'm Betty.
It's actually so inspiring to listen to a number of the presentations, the best practices, and those will really help all of us here listening to the presentations in determining how best we can also put into practice what they consider as their best practices. There are a number of indications given by the reactors that we have our own initiatives, and there may also be another occasion when we can together share what our own best practices are so that we can make all these programs made known to other institutions. So I just would like to say thank you very much to the several presentations and the reactions made by our participants. So daghang salamat. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Betty and Dr. Wilma, for anchoring that, finale, I would say, to a very, very interesting and productive discussion. ACUCA, I think, is capable enough to focus on STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics. And if I would like to just add emotional quotients to it. So ACUCA can as well think about the STEAMy education, all right, because Southeast Asia and South Asia, I think, are great resources. And of course, North Asia, Northeast Asia as well, are great resources as universities to engender the human spirit, through this, through the Christological guidance that we have. Listen, we've had such a vibrant session so far, and let me just say this. Can we ask the technical team to lead us in a group photograph on this occasion? I feel so happy and distinguished to have all of you in attendance this morning. So what I'm going to ask everyone now is to please turn on your cameras, and please do that with the best smile that you have. In other words, I can't smile without you. Okay, so can you please do that?
Smile. Nice one, Director Glenn. May we ask you to please turn on your camera for documentation purposes also, because definitely we will include this one in our newsletter, and we wish that everyone will be counted. No one will be left out in this particular meeting of ours at the ACUCA. So I see still others who are not turning on their camera, just in case you want to join the. Okay, so I'll give now to the technical team to do the task of
Everyone,
capturing.
everyone, please give your best smile and just keep smiling.
Keep
So
smiling.
I have 5 frames, so let's begin with the first frame. And 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, next frame. 1, 2, 3, smile. Third frame. 1, 2, 3, smile. Fourth frame. 1, 2, 3, smile. And last frame. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you very much. we, I believe, have a short special number from Petra Christian University. It's titled Jubiliate Deo. So can we now invite
Jubilate Deo, 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 Deo, jubilate Deo, omnis terra. Servite Domino in laetitia, introite in conspectu eius in exultatione, in exultatione, in exultatione. Jubilate Deo, 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 Deo. Quoniam suavis est Dominus, in aeterna misericordia eius. Quoniam suavis est Dominus et josque in generatione, generatione, generazione, generazione. Veritas Deus, Deo, jubilate Deo, jubilate Deo, jubilate Deo. Jubilate Deo, omnis terra.
Now that was quite an inspirational, interlude, and we are, or in this, if I will, a celebratory journey towards the preferred futures at the Christian higher education institutions. And we now must proceed to what I believe would be the last two major substantive presenters for the breakdown sessions. And it's with great pleasure that, I bring before you two, I think, very, very interesting presenters, Father Dr. Roberto Yap, who also marks from his institution the St. Francis Xavier Day today as the president of Ateneo de Manila University. And he, of course, is going to be talking to us on that topic of adapting internationalization into online platforms. Father Yap received his PhD from the University College London, specializing in environmental economics. He likewise holds a master's in public policy from Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government, a Master of Arts of Theology from Ateneo de Manila University, and a Master of Arts in Economics from the New School for Social Research, New York, and a Bachelor of Arts in Economics from the honors programs from Ateneo de Manila University. And the last presenter would be Dr. Ivan Setiawan, the Deputy Rector for Academic Affairs at Satya Wacana Christian University in Indonesia. And he's going to be addressing this entire topic of the whole person education at University Christian Satya Wacana University. He will be talking about the history and the current practices of the whole person education. Dr. Setiawan is an associate professor in electrical engineering and the deputy rector for academic affairs at the Satya Wacana Christian University. Currently, he is responsible for coordinating the work to strengthen the implementation of whole person education curriculum at the university. Let me, with all due respect and adulation, hand over the screens now to Father Roberto and Dr. Ivan sequentially.
For over 160 years, Ateneo de Manila University has distinguished itself for its holistic, liberal, and interdisciplinary education, forming persons for and with others. Ateneo education draws from the Jesuit tradition of faith and justice, character formation, and openness and discernment, providing a foundation for professional excellence, leadership, and a deep commitment to global human development. More than 14,000 undergraduate and graduate students study a wide range of degree programs in the arts and humanities, social sciences, law, basic and applied sciences, engineering, medicine, business, and governance. Ultimately, Ateneo aims to be a force for good, dedicated to seeking solutions to the world's most pressing challenges. To understand what unites us and to help widen our perspectives, Ateneo engages the world through a wide range of internationalization initiatives. These include fostering and strengthening institutional partnerships, developing and delivering innovative and collaborative academic and research programs, faculty and student mobility initiatives, and preparing all of its students for the challenges of our age and beyond, armed with a global perspective rooted in a distinctive Filipino, Catholic, and Jesuit character. And even with the mobility and travel restrictions brought by the pandemic, Ateneo continues to engage the world through its internationalization at home programs. Student mobility continues through the online learning exchange program. Students from partner universities take up Ateneo courses on the Ateneo Blue Cloud, our campus on the cloud. In this digital campus, teaching, learning, and formation are conducted based on the innovative, adaptive design for learning framework. Courses are designed to be flexible and adaptive to the needs of both the learner and the teacher, and ensures that the level of learning is at par with what on-campus classes can deliver. And despite the different format, the learning, teaching, and formation experience continues to be distinguished by the essential markers of an Ateneo education. Internationalization is increasingly being integrated into courses being offered through the collaborative learning program. Under this initiative, faculty are given the opportunity to devise projects, activities, or special lectures with collaborators from our international partners and are given financial and logistical support. The initiative has since supported a total of 7 projects, including webinars on new archaeological developments, Filipino films and fascism, and on international experiences in people-led housing. Ateneo students continue to interact and collaborate with colleagues from our partner schools across the world through monthly activities organized by the Ateneo Student Exchange Council in cooperation with the Office of International Relations. As a way of bridging cultural and geographic divides, students create, maintain, and strengthen friendships and connections through virtual activities and conversations. The virtual student interactions are also opportunities for language training, developing in participants spontaneous English-speaking skills. It has also become a venue for insightful discussions of relevant cross-cultural issues and topics. Along with the move to a virtual campus, student support services have also shifted their offerings to the cloud. Our international students continue to receive cura personalis, care for the individual person, a hallmark of the holistic formation Ateneo is known for. This was especially crucial at the start of the global lockdowns, when our international students needed the most support while being away from home. They continued to have 24/7 access to medical, guidance and counseling through the online services. Students who remained on campus while waiting for an opportunity to travel home continue to have access to ambulance and medical personnel on site. Counselors reach out to students in an effort to help them cope with the psychosocial effects of the pandemic and lockdowns. They also receive administrative and logistical assistance as they plan their trips back home. The university provided crucial assistance in contacting embassies and consulates, safe and secure airport transfers, and 24/7 communication channels that were open for any questions or concerns. Despite closed borders, lockdowns, and travel restrictions, Ateneo de Manila's efforts to connect and engage the world remained alive and active. In fact, the pandemic opened new opportunities for both Ateneo and its partners to engage in exciting and innovative ways even at home. And even as the world slowly reopens, internationalization at home will continue to become an integral part of Ateneo de Manila's global engagement to become a force for good in the world, rooted in Filipino, Catholic, and Jesuit values.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Iwan. I'm going to present some sharing regarding the history and current practices of whole person education here at UKSW, Satyawacana Christian University. And I've been introduced by the moderator, but I would like also to acknowledge my colleague, Dr. Helty Mampo, who has helped me in preparing this presentation. Next, please. So Satyawacana was founded in 1956, and the philosophy of higher education at Satyawacana can be summarized with these two statements by our first rector, Dr. Noto Hamijoyo. The first is, it is imperative to develop all aspects of a student's life. And the second one is that Satyawacana educates and shapes a student as a whole person, developing his or her personality to be a mature and cultured person. So these are the philosophy of Satyawacana. And as a consequence, Satyawacana has always recognized the need to train students in a broad range of subjects, in addition to their core subjects. So we also teach them religion, ethics, philosophy, political science, anthropology, and other subjects. And we implement this from a curricular point of view by introducing the Department of General Education, or in Bahasa Indonesia, Departemen Mata Kuliah Umum, or DMU. And also, we provided students with experiences through extracurricular activities that gave them the opportunity to interact with and solve problems faced by the public. In conclusion, for this first part of my presentation, we can say that whole person education is in Satyawacana's blood from the very beginning. The problem is situations changes, and after about 30 years of constant structured implementation of whole person education, there has been a period of decline in these practices, starting in the early 90s. In the early 90s, policies, both from our government and also influenced the policies within the university, shifted towards focusing on study programs instead of the university as a whole. curriculum became the sole domain of study programs and or departments, and therefore losing the big picture, the big picture of a university-wide curriculum. Curriculum also became standardized nationally and lost local identity, lost local character that give particular colors for each university. As a result, the curriculum only retained minimalistic general education courses, so only those that are mandated by the government. All of this led towards producing graduates that are experts on their specific domains, and students became over-compartmentalized in the sense that they are unwilling or unable to communicate and collaborate with students from other scientific backgrounds. So they are only concentrating on their fields of expertise. These policies or practices continued until around 2012, in which policies started to shift back into a more holistic approach. However, as people say, bad habits die hard, and not all programs immediately shifted to this new paradigm. However, Satya Wacana is committed to go back to the original vision of higher education, and we are now entering a phase of rebirth. We do this in two main aspects. The first one is by adopting a new curriculum, which in a sense is a throwback or a return to the previous whole person education curriculum that we already had in the beginning. And we are aiming right now at producing young intellectuals who are skilled, broad-minded, have strong ethics, and creative. We aim to enable students to adapt to changes, technological changes, cultural changes, etc. And we aim to mold a student to become a whole person. Our new curriculum is structured with a metaphor of a building. From the bottom, we have a foundation that has to be strong enough to support the pillars, and in the culmination is the cupola at the top. Let us talk a bit about each part, starting with the foundation. The foundation are general education courses that we create to give students a broad mind, an ability to view problems from multiple perspectives, not only from their own scientific field. We aim to give them early opportunity to develop character and life skills, and we challenges the curriculum challenges them to develop creative and critical thinking skills. We at the Satya Wacana allocates 28 credit hours for general education courses. The courses that we offer includes critical thinking, entrepreneurship, social sciences electives in which students needs to take a certain number of credit hours, natural sciences electives, art and languages electives, etc. The courses offered are meant to be to give them breadth in the scientific foundation, and also we are not simply giving a range of courses that students can take, but we design the courses so that students from different fields of expertise take the courses together, and those they will get early opportunity to interact with each other, to communicate with students having different backgrounds. The courses in the general education are also designed to be project-based. So by the end of the semester, we challenge them to solve a certain problem using their own perspective from their respective field of expertise. Of course, since these general education courses are offered in the first year, we temper our expectation. These are first year students. However, usually students surprise us and they give us ideas that we did not know that they already understand. And as to the other parts of the curriculum, the pillars are the core subjects to build specific skills and expertise in their respective fields. And the cupola are courses or projects to showcase results, to showcase outcomes from the students' learning experience. This can be research projects, publication, or products, and also community service activities that are conducted by the students together with their teachers. In addition to a new curriculum, we also form a new partnership with one of them is the Aeon Reality company. This is a technology company from Irvine, California, and they are specializing in virtual, augmented, or extended reality technology. When we hear about virtual reality, extended reality, this picture is something that usually comes to our mind. And indeed, this technology has been used in training, in product development, in product visualization, in high-tech company, in labs, and also in other institutions. However, virtual augmented reality is not always for these high-tech applications. We can also bring this technology to early childhood education, for example, helping students to visualize things, to visualize objects that otherwise they have to see in two-dimensional form, especially during this pandemic in which they cannot interact directly with their teachers. Using this kind of virtual reality objects can help them understand the lessons better. So by doing this partnership, we are enhancing teaching and learning quality here at Satya Wacana. And also we are preparing our students to adapt to developments in technology and civilization. So in conclusion, whole person education has been the core concept of higher education at Satya Wacana since the beginning. And currently, Satya Wacana is renewing her efforts in providing whole person education to prepare future-proof graduates. Thank you for your attention, and should you want to contact me or my colleague, Dr. Healthy Mampau, for questions, you can contact us through this email address. Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Satilia. Excuse me, you are still
Glenn,
muted.
you need to unmute, please.
Pardon-moi, s'il vous plaît. I'm sorry. Okay, lost track of technology. Okay, I want to thank both Dr. Ivan Setyawan and your collaborator on that very enlightening presentation, and of course Father Yap for his really insightful remarks on internationalization and the online platforms. We will have responses. Unfortunately, Father Roberto Yap is otherwise engaged, and we are, he is represented by Dr. Karen Sumiko, who might be able to take the questions across to him or respond on his behalf. And for that response session, I would like to invite Professor Jane Annette Bellaramino, the Vice President for Development from Silliman University, and Father Roger Banzila Munsi from Nanzan University, Japan, to respond. But first off, let me also just say that Dr. Beulah Rose Torres, the Director of International Instruction at Silliman University, and Dr. Hope Anton from the United Board for Christian Higher Education would respond to Dr. Ivan Satyawan's presentation. So first off, can we go to Professor Jane Annette Bellarmino?
Thank you for that, Dr. Suniko. I want to thank you very much for the presentation also of President Tan. I have basically three questions. The first is in learning enrichment of unity through service learning. So I would like to know, in this age of the pandemic, what's opportunities for community engagement to your foreign students? The second question is that in a face-to-face setting, the Filipino students, the students in the home, on the host country, usually also learn a lot from the presence of these foreign students. No? It's not just the foreign students learning from us, but the Filipino community also learns from them. So I would like to know what are the best practices of Ateneo that allows the Filipino students in your virtual campus to also learn and students. And lastly, I would like to learn the best practice of Ateneo on how learning in a group setting can be facilitated. Perhaps this can be in the context also of community engagement. Thank you, ma'am. That is all.
Thank you. Before we get to your response, Dr. Karen Suniko, can I request Father Roger Vanzila Munsi, please, to take a minute or two for your response or question.
Thank you very much. I'm Roger Vanzila Munsi from Nanzan University. After watching the presentation of Dr. Robert Yak, focusing on the interdisciplinary education, I was very interested in the aspect of professional excellence leadership and found that very relevant as a transformation, as a transformational learning has become the focus of 21st century global educational reforms. And it was also very interesting to note that the framework of leadership competencies set up by the Ateneo de Manila University for students is not only not simply drawn from the global knowledge, education, and experiences, but it's also relevant to the local context of the Philippines. That sounds very interesting, and I think it was precisely in this respect that our university, Nanzan University, tried to establish a faculty of Global Liberal Studies in 2017. And it's where I'm also working, teaching cultural anthropology. This faculty also emphasizes students building interdisciplinary leadership skills. Our students acquired the interdisciplinary leadership competencies, especially when they come back from Arizona University after the exchange exposure at Arizona State University in the US. They try to develop a self-awareness, vision, self-regulation, motivation, and then they develop a kind of decisiveness, integrity, interpersonal communication skills. And then they try to come out with the idea of having a team building and with some innovations. And then they try to become effective change agents now and in the future. So returning to the Dr. Robert's presentations, I have two questions. The first one, I view it from the lens of social sciences and the development is that I want to know how does the Ateneo de Manila University empower its students to the issue of a sustainable community as far as the social, economic, and the environment of the local people are concerned. And the second question is a matter of curiosity. I'm very curious to know which kind of innovations or new course strategies that Ateneo or the Manila University are set in motion to ensure the holistic or interdisciplinary formation of its students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will also have a response from Dr. Uda Tida Ena, please. Go ahead, a minute or two.
Thank you very much. I think, yeah, so especially I want to comment on the internationalization that we have actually. Ateneo and Sanata Dharma is also in ACUCA association, so the Association of Jesuit Universities in Southeast Asia. Actually, what I want to know more and further is on the level of the depth of the especially international program, because we used to have exchange program which is offline, face to face, but then now most of the exchange program is done online. So my concern is well, that is our challenge. How do we create a meaningful exchange program, especially for the international programs among us, among the ACUCA and also other association? I think that is more or less my question, maybe to everybody, not just to Father Bobby Yap, but also and in this case is represented by Ms. Karen, my colleague. Thank you, Director Glenn.
Thank you. Now, I believe that there's one more, and is it Sister Anne Trace, please? Can you switch?
Yes, Glenn, thank you. I was really excited when I heard the presentation from from Ateneo. And the reason why I was excited is because usually when people introduce their universities, they don't do what we just heard done twice in their introduction. He said that Ateneo was Filipino, Catholic, and Jesuit. Usually I hear people say, I went to a Jesuit school, and we all associate Jesuit schools with excellence, right? I mean, throughout the world, I've heard it everywhere. Oh, you went to a Jesuit school, that's really impressive. But the fact that they specifically say Filipino first just really touched me and caused me to pause. And then it was their Catholic character, and then it was their Jesuit roots, their Jesuit tradition. So I think that that's something worth unpacking at some point, not today in this conference, but I think it gives us a lot to think about. Yesterday, somebody said in the open forum that we really needed Christian schools to focus on high academic standards. Because if we didn't focus on high academic standards, he seemed to feel that people would not really recognize Christian institutions for all that they are, that they would only focus on one aspect of what they are. So I just am very grateful for Ateneo's presentation and for emphasizing that twice, that they are Filipino and they are Catholic and then they are Jesuit. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Sister Anne. Professor Karen, it's over to you now. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'm not a professor and I am the director of the Office of International Relations. I am also not a doctor, so you can all call me Karen. Thank you very much for the opportunity to for Father Bobby to present today. Also, thank you for the positive responses. Maybe I can touch on some of the questions and those that are easier for me to answer, and for those that will need lengthier and in-depth explanation, I can do that via email probably. So our focus was on internationalization and reaching out to our students via the online platform. There was a question on how we do service learning. We try to be as creative as possible. We reach out to the different sectors via online. We have our service learning going to the communities so that our students can reach out to them online also. So the interaction continues. It is different to be there, but we try our best to reach them via online programs also. In the group setting, the online program allows us to have a global classroom. So the interaction, so our students learning from our international students, giving their own cultural perspective in the lessons that they undertake happens to be in the global classroom, which is similar to what we are having now. So the exchange continues. And so we try and keep the global classroom online alive, even if the challenges are there, especially since there are parts. One, the challenge would be time difference. Some of our students from Europe will have a difficult time attending our classes, but they still do try, and we try and find classes that will fit their schedule more. Like afternoon classes will mean early morning for our European students, and so they do participate, and so we try and build a community of a global classroom online. I hope I was able to answer some of the questions, and those that will need more in-depth answer, we can answer via email. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. I've been asked to recognize Professor Handi from Duta Wacana University. Would you like to respond or ask a question, sir? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for both our colleague from Manila, from Ateneo, and also from Satya Wacana. Thank you for the presentation and sharing. I have a concern with the international collaboration and internationalizing for students and also for staffs. This is maybe not a question, but a suggestion, because I remember yesterday, Pak Henry Feryadi, our rector from Duta Wacana, mentioned about the program, about the concrete program from ACUCA, maybe to just to support and just to encourage the idea of internationalizing and also international collaborations. Maybe I'm thinking about maybe we need to provide a kind of a platform, a digital platform, for instance, or maybe we can use our platform, our Facebook, for instance, to be more effective, just to put any programs, any international, any offers, anything from our institutions that we can communicate, and we can see which programs and which international collaboration that we can be involved. Maybe from the staffs, for the staffs, also for the students, for instance, because sometimes we need that kind of platform that we can encourage the idea of international collaborations. Then maybe we can answer and respond what Feryadi yesterday mentions about the ACUCA program. The second one, maybe for our colleague Pak Iwan from Satya Wacana, I'm interested in the whole person education approach, but I'm thinking about the Generation Z. Maybe I have not heard about that idea when we talk about students and we talk about the programs higher education, because we are facing Generation Z with the particular characteristic, and then we really need to understand that. Maybe we can still hear about that, how we deal with Generation Z. The whole person education approach can suggest some ideas about this, because yes, Generation Z, I think, really have a different characteristic with us, because we need to deal with that. That's my comment, response, and question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We now will go to the whole person education at University Christian Satya Wachana. And I'm going to request Dr. Beulah Rose Torres, the Director of the Office of Instruction at Silliman University, to please take the screen, if you will.
Okay, thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to give my reaction to the presentation of Dr. Iwan Setiawan, Deputy Rector of Academic Affairs, Satya Wacana Christian University, Indonesia. Dr. Iwan, that was such an encouraging and informative talk. I took note of your new curriculum model. Thank you. I'm given only a few minutes, so allow me to go straight to the point. It's a delight to know that both our universities, when it comes to whole person education, or WPE, intersect in many ways, which I believe would be an excellent springboard for partnership, if that's possible. Allow me to cite 3 points that we have in common. First, the focus on WPE runs in our blood. Upon the inception of our institutions, the total development of our students was already our prime concern. What's more interesting is that your school linked it with faith in Christian decrees, while we anchor it on the gospel of Jesus Christ. Second, both our universities intentionally infuse WPE in our curriculum with a distinct component that sets us apart from any secular institution. For example, we both included the course on religion in the listing of general education subjects or courses. Silliman, however, added another course to supplement that. Thus, every undergraduate student enrolled in Silliman is required to take a course which we named Whole Person Education, which is a 3-unit course. Third, both our institutions are also concerned about producing graduates who are skilled, creative, ethical, and broad-minded, as you put it. In our curriculum, we label this set of student outcomes as competence, character, and faith anchored on the gospel of Jesus Christ. In fact, last October, given some local challenges that we faced, we deliberately incorporated into the WPE syllabus concepts such as environmental justice, stewardship, and sustainability to ensure that Silliman produces leaders and citizens who have the heart and the head and the conscience to preserve and sustain a healthy environment. Revisiting our WPE syllabus was also our way of responding to the July 2021 ACUCA joint statement made during its conference last July. Having said this, I believe that both our universities have the potential to partner with each other in terms of our obligation to holistically develop our students and turn them into faith-filled, ethically resilient, and future-ready global citizens. I don't have a question, but just a suggestion that maybe we can explore partnership between us. So perhaps in our partnership, if this is possible, we can do it by conducting a collaborative research. For example, we can probably start by determining the impact of WPE curriculum. We can incorporate an item on impact in the tracer study questionnaire, or we can collaboratively conduct a purely impact study. The research results may be a promising avenue for both institutions to extend its services to fellow Christians and other communities outside this circle. Actually, there are a myriad of ways, so I was just suggesting one. Thank you once again for this opportunity to give a reaction.
Thank you, Dr. Beulah Rose Torres. Now, I remember that this morning, the response sessions began, with Dr. Hope taking the second question, and Dr. Hope brings us to the last response or question of the morning session. Dr. Hope Anton,
okay.
United Board.
Thank you. And thank you, Pak Iwan Sechawan, for your very fine presentation. I take ACUCA SWI's affirmation that whole person education is part of its blood, not only as a sense of pride, but also as a commitment to steer the course of whole person education in the life and mission of the institution. When the United Board decided to make whole person education as its mission in 2015, its mission statement, we are very conscious that we didn't, invent it, and that it is not something new. It has always been there among the many institutions that have been established for some time and who really follow the tradition of looking at the students holistically and at education as well holistically. So Pak Iwan mentioned that the shift to departmental study programs and the need to follow national standards of curriculum contributed to the decline in whole person education at ACUCA SW. I think many institutions all over Asia and maybe all over the world can relate to this fact that the focus on expertise building through specialization in specific domains has led to students becoming over-compartmentalized, to borrow Pak Iwan's word. So I appreciate ACUCA SW's commitment to strengthen whole person education through the new curriculum with more GE courses that aim to develop broad minds, character, life skills, creativity, and also through new partnerships with various stakeholders like IT companies in order to improve the institution's digital capacity, given that we are already pushed into the digital world. Now, since whole person education also has to do with the overall atmosphere of the class, the relationships among students and with their teachers, the methodology of teaching and assessment, may I just ask one question to Pak Iwan? Actually, this question was asked by your colleague to me because she's an alumna of our Whole Person Education Academy, which we co-organized with Ateneo, the Manila University. So I want you to share a bit about how, in fact, you have addressed this question at ACUCA SW. How is ACUCA SW ensuring that whole person education happens even in an online environment? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hope. Dr. Iwan Setiawan, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Difficult questions. I will try to answer it. I will start with the easier one. That is a suggestion from Suleiman to collaborate, to cooperate. And I think it is very possible because we do have a lot in common, especially with regard to whole person education implementation in our institution. So yeah, I think we can collaborate, and in this meeting, we also have Pak Joseph, who is our Deputy Director for Internationalization and Cooperation, and he will take note about this, and we will move forward to act upon this suggestion. And then from Dr. Hope, yeah, this is a big challenge for us because we are doing right now mostly online courses, especially since most of our students are from outside the area, so they cannot travel to our campus as yet. And what we are trying to do currently, especially for the general education courses, is that, as I mentioned, we try to not only give them the necessary knowledge about the subjects, but also by the end of the course, well, actually not by the end of the course, by the end of the instructional portion of the course, we throw them a problem, which is a real problem. And we know that they will see the problem from different perspectives. For example, in the question of environmental impact of our existence in this world. In Indonesia, one aspect is, for example, the plantations in various islands in Indonesia, in which we have sometimes bad impact to the environment, either by replacing the original plants from the area, or due to the fires that usually affects not only Indonesia but also our neighboring countries. So we throw them such a real world problem, and then we ask them to speak up their ideas based on, for example, somebody from the law department, they will say, okay, from my perspective, this is what we should do to stop that. But then somebody from the economic or business school will say that, okay, we cannot simply do that, but we have to take into account also the economic aspects of what you suggest. And then from other departments, they will chip in with their perspectives. And this is something that we can give the students, so that they can develop not only their expertise in their specific areas, but also in their ability to look at the problem from multiple perspectives, and then probably temper their responses with regard to other people's approaches. And also during this pandemic period, we also join or also make programs, for example, for students to, while they are staying at home or in their area, they get the opportunity to become teachers in the local schools, for example. And it is not only for students with education training background, but also it is open for all students, and they will get credit for that, and they will get hands-on experience in communicating subjects that are probably simple for them, but not for the other people in their environment. So these are two examples that we are doing to keep our students rooted in the whole person education philosophy of Satya Wacana. And then the last question is about how do we deal with Gen Z or Gen Z students. It is challenging, and I cannot say that I am able to surmount this challenge as yet. But what we are trying to do is currently we try to move away from being somebody who's preaching from a pulpit, let me say like that, but by throwing ideas or questions for them to respond to, with various success rate. Some students respond very well with this approach, and they will, like I said, they come up with ideas that surprise us. Some students are not as responsive as this, but overall, I think we are learning, and we are confident that slowly we will be able to get to connect with them in order to really transmit not only the knowledge but also the philosophy upon which Satya Wacana has been built. I think that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe that brings to an end a very substantive and interactive, academic discussion that we've had this morning. And, this is really what ACUCA is all about. ACUCA and its inspiration through United Board. We've really followed this journey together, and through this morning, I think that we've gained a lot of insights as to what really is the core of Christian education, to place the student, but to place really Christ within the student for our care, for our concern. And of course, the environment, technology, gender equality, all of these things, the sociological, economic, cultural impacts that influence our students, including the challenges of Generation Z, at this time. I think that we as ACUCA institutions are placed in that unenviable position through the culture of our Christianity, through our love, care, concern, but also the hope, and the faith that we sustain. I think this was very, very richly brought out this morning, right as we spanned, the membership of ACUCA through India in Southeast Asia, and then Southeast Asia, and then to Northeast Asia, to the core of what we are. It's been a very, very elucidating and illustrative, edifying, I would say, experience. And I want to thank each and every of the presenters who really gave us their care and concern. And also, for the responders who did a great job. The journey, is not complete, I think, without one more, I believe, response or input from Dr. Hendra, before we get to the finale of this morning. Dr. Hendra, are you on hand to take the screen and to share with us your inputs, your thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much and good morning for all. My name is Hendra. I am Associate Provost of Faith Learning Integration in Pelita Harapan University. I just want to comment about the general education that Dr. Iwan has shared. I think that general education is very important for our mission as a Christian university, because as a Christian university we know that we not just give the high tech to our student, and also we not just give them also the high social environment and the others, but I think that how to give them also the general education, the whole humanist, the whole person education. But one point that I want to emphasize is, as a Christian university, we need to also think about how to give them in the Christian perspective. So this is a very important, because I know that sometimes we think that when we try to emphasize the Christianity in the public sphere, maybe also in the campus, sometimes there is a tendency to think that there is a kind of dogmatization. But actually, for us, as Jesus Christ said that the truth will set us free. I know that for our understanding, the good, the precise general education must be for us as a Christian university is how to teach the general education from the perspective of Christian worldview. So because of that, in our university in Pelita Harapan, we have a faculty of liberal art, and in our faculty of liberal art, we have a course we call Christian worldview. We have a 3 course of Christian worldview 1, 2, and 3. And in each of these courses here, we not just give them the understanding about our life as a human, but we try to give them understanding about our life of human as from the perspective of Christian worldview. So that is our emphasis. For us in Pelita Harapan University, we are stand on the Reform tradition. So because of that, we try to give general education from the perspective of Reform tradition. So because of that, I know that there is no neutrality in education, because we need to stand on our side and as Christian university. So it is very important for us to rethink, just I said before, about how to deliver the general education, how to define what is the meaning of holistic education from the Christian perspective. So because I know, and I have a conviction once again that the truth will set us free. Okay, maybe that is only my comment for us to rethink about what perspective that we really use to educate our student in the general education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hendra. That was indeed a great reminder that ultimately the truth is what we are all about. Okay, and very, very well taken. We went through this management and the ACUCA management and General Assembly exercises yesterday and today. We began with a rather stimulating and very educative keynote by Dr. Betty Cernol, okay, and McCann. That was indeed so befitting for ACUCA to begin with that. And then we went on to the interactions, the process, the turnover ceremony, which was also very impressive, because we foregrounded Hanam University, our dear partner institution and the president institution over the next 2 years with a new executive board. Okay, and that indeed was a very warm and a noteworthy turnover ceremony. And today, okay, we've come to that point where our journey in the preferred futures have arrived, I think, has arrived at a deeper kind of perception amongst us as educators. And how I wish we could have opened this forum to students, and perhaps the ACUCA Secretariat might think about making available some of this material to our students in classroom settings so that they could take ideas from this towards their own enlightenment. That's only a wish from my side. I'm deeply grateful to the outgoing Secretary General Wilma Tejero, Dr. Wilma Tejero and her team, to Dr. Betty Cernol McCann for having entrusted me with this, role of hosting this morning's journey towards our deeper perception and understanding of Christian education. And now I would like to invite Dr. Betty Cernol McCann, the president of Silliman University and the president of ACUCA till the end of this month, to take the screen and to share her closing remarks with us.
Thank you, Director Glenn. And thank you so much for being able to navigate all of those ideas from the presenters and the reactors so that we are able to arrive at a meaningful whole from the so many pieces of ideas coming from different individuals. Well, this is now the time when we have to realize that all good things also come to an end. And so in the past 3 sessions, major sessions, we were able to cover a lot of ground. We did a lot of talking. We did a lot of demonstrating how those ideas can be put into action. But this is also the time for us to step and move forward and take with us a number of the gifts already presented to us in the past 2 days. As we all know, an activity of this nature is not possible with the work of only one person or only one entity or institution. In fact, a work of this nature can only happen because of a collective effort. So let me then present to everyone my thanks, as well as the organization's thank you to a number of individuals who helped make us this conference happen. Well, first of all, we did a lot of work because we had the participants in mind. And since yesterday, we can see that we have a good number of participants, participation coming from so many of our member institutions. So thank you to all the participants, the member institutions, for being with us in this 2-day conference. Also, special thank you to the members of the executive committee of the board of ACUCA, because they had been so active in leading the way and making us arrive at a good program for this management conference, General Assembly, and the sharing of good practices. Of course, the unit that has really put all of the work so that we will have this online virtual conference. I'd like to say thank you very much to the Secretariat led by our own Dr. Wawi Tejero, and also the members of the technical staff, and there are a number of them. One group, of course, that is built into our own organizational setup is our Silliman Online University Learning, headed by Dr. Dave Marshall. And we are able to do this work because of the preparation that has been done even way before the ACUCA has been doing its own set of activities over the years. So it helps to have a technologically prepared institution to carry out virtual activities. Also, our program moderators, our program presenters, also the reactors and the sharers of ideas, they also contributed much to the enrichment of all. The member institutions in Asia are varied, so we can never come up with one prescribed way of doing the program. Therefore, as we close this session and yesterday's, the task really is for each individual institution to determine which combinations of ideas can work best for one's own institution. And I hope that there will be another occasion when we can again congregate and share our own experiences based on the new ideas, modified ideas, or even combination of ideas so that can also be of help to others in the days ahead. Also, I'd like to thank the United Board for Christian Higher Education in Asia that I would like to thank has been the midwife for the birth of ACUCA. The United Board has been with us right from the very beginning in December of 1940, Wilma,
1956, I think.
1950, if we are now 45 years old, so in sometime December 45 years ago, the United Board has been with us. And over the years, the United Board has also been our very active partner. Also, the United Board is a partner organization with a number of partners so that for us here in ACUCA, we are able to avail of the partnerships that are in place. So therefore, ACUCA becomes a partner body of partners because we are able to work with other institutions in Asia and those agencies, other groups that are interested in Christian higher education in Asia. We are entering the Christmas season. And because we're in the Christmas season, for us Asians, we always associate Christmas celebrations with eating. So I'll say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So the proof of all those that we have gathered, ideas, food for thought, will be in the way we process and ingest those ideas. Also, as I mentioned about the birth of ACUCA, by December 6th, we are exactly 45 years old. And on December 9 is a special day for fellowship to celebrate the Christmas season and to celebrate our own birth month. So on that note, I'd like to invite you all, invite you back for the fellowship before we end the year to have our Christmas fellowship birthday celebration December 9. Again, thank you all very much for your active participation in the affairs of ACUCA. So, Dr. Tejero, any announcement from your end?
Nothing, ma'am. May we ask Pastor Wella to lead us in a closing prayer. And please stay put because we also have our closing song after.
Okay, shall we pray? Most gracious and loving God, we are happy and grateful to you for your sustaining presence and guidance to all of us throughout our two-day gathering. We thank you for what we have accomplished, for all the learnings, through the sharing of our experiences, our best practices that can truly empower and inspire our doing and service. Thank you, O Lord, for all the participating colleges and universities who took time, who took the challenge to continue and advance your nurturing ministry. You have entrusted to us lives of your people and bring them to your loving and nurturing presence. And we thank you for this opportunity and privilege, O Lord. We continue to pray for your guidance and wisdom, especially to our newly elected officials of this organization, May you inspire and strengthen them in all their efforts. We also pray for all of us that you will inspire us, give us patience and understanding, love and compassion as we journey with our students, with our constituents, and with one another. In these challenging times, teach us, O Lord, humility to learn from one another, to inspire each other, to help and collaborate with each other, for we recognize that your work is huge and we cannot do it alone. We need each other, and most of all, we need you, O Lord. Guide us in our journey towards our preferred futures. May our collaboration and partnership bring honor to you. This is our prayer in the name of Christ, our Lord and Savior, the way, the truth, and the life. And now, people of God, as we leave this virtual space, know that God is with you. And while so much of the road ahead is uncertain, the path constantly changing, we know some things that are solid and sure. We know God is love. We know Christ's light endures. We know the Holy Spirit is there, found in the space between all things, closer to us than our next breath, binding us to each other. Until we meet again, we go in peace to love and serve the Lord in the name of Christ. Amen.